Namaste, everyone. Christian Long, Life Enhancement Consulting, giving you a big and beautiful shout out on this not Thursday, but we're doing a little special Transformation Thursday Q&A where you come to get answers that you can't find on Google, and we're doing it. We're doing a few extra ones this week because this body will be traveling, but everything will be up in the archive section on Thinkific, and then we'll also be posting them when appropriate on the Facebook Inner Transformation group. So before we begin, let us invoke. Be aware of your heart. Smile. See if you can feel your physical heart beating in your chest. And then see if you can be aware of your emotional heart. The love within your emotional heart. And then be aware of your crown. Be aware of the heart and the crown together. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother. To Grandmaster Cho Kuksui, Lord Mahaguru Jamiling, to Lord Buddha Kuan Yin. To Holy Master Count Saint Germain. To Saraswati, the Goddess of Intelligence and Wisdom. To all the Holy Gurus, Holy Masters, Saints, Archangels, Holy Angels. To the Angels of Awareness, Understanding, and Inner Transformation. To our Divine Selves or Higher Souls, we humbly invoke for your divine light, love, and power, for your divine help, guidance, and protection. We ask that these teachings bless us and transform us on all levels. We thank you, Lord God. We thank you all. With gratitude, respect, and love, so be it, and so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So be it. Okay, welcome, welcome, welcome. So over to the side here, on my left shoulder, you see a big circular thing, and it looks like it has an olive in the center of it. What is this? This is a chakra. This is a chakra. Which chakra or energy center is it? Anyone want to guess? Nope. Close. Come on, anyone? Ah, very good. Yes, the forehead chakra. So the Ajna chakra is right here, right? So this is the chakra that deals with understanding, abstract thinking, higher intelligence, right? And then you have right above that, the forehead chakra that deals with wisdom. And as Master Cho would say, from wisdom comes all other things. So King Solomon was a teacher with an extremely developed forehead chakra. Forehead chakra. So this again is what allows you to see the inner world. And it also allows you to extract wisdom from something. It allows you to extract wisdom from something. Which we'll cover a little bit more with one of the questions we got earlier today. So, starting right off, the first question. I sometimes have a hard time coming back to my physical body after waking up from sleeping. Sometimes it is after intense dreams, and I can be spacey the rest of the day. What do you recommend to come back to this reality quicker? Okay, so it's a good question. So every single night, it happens not just in the nighttime, but it's more prevalent in the nighttime, that when we go to bed, we put our heads on our little pillows and we fall asleep, a large majority, or the majority of our consciousness shifts from our physical body into the astral body, or also known as the emotional body. And then we do what? We travel with the astral body in the inner world. Now, many, many things are happening during this time, but to keep it simple, you're learning, you're doing service or healing, and if you're very advanced, you're teaching. So those are the three main activities that you do every single night that you go to bed. You're either learning in the inner schools, you're healing or providing service to other beings, or you are teaching other beings. And again, that's if you're a very advanced soul. Okay, so some people, they go to bed, they sleep 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, and they wake up feeling exhausted. Why is that? A couple factors. The energetic factors, right? We can talk about the physical factors, which is a whole other conversation, but the specialization in this group is the energy factors. So energetically, the person went to bed with a lot of connections. The person went to bed with a lot of connections, meaning they're a public figure, meaning they're a professional healer, meaning lots and lots of people connect to that person on a regular basis. So those cords prevent the person from having a restful sleep. Number two, the person was doing a lot of healing and a lot of service. We have the assumption that just because we're quote unquote not a professional healer, but if we have the intention of I want to be of service, then we will be given the opportunity by the great teachers to be of service in the inner world. So as we're doing service and service and service and healing and healing and healing, we are partially depleting and partially congesting our emotional body. So we're picking up what is known as emotional or astral debris. And then we're bringing that in. So then when we wake up in the morning, we're like, God, I feel like I've been working out all day. Well, I mean, what happened? Because your energy body is partially depleted and partially congested. So before you go to bed, you should disconnect all cords. You can do that energetically, right? From the techniques that we're taught in pranic healing. You could also take a salt bath with lavender oil, which will clean the emotional and mental bodies. And that will prepare you to have a deep sleep. Also, your bed can be congested. This happens with a lot of people, because there's a lot of activities that happen in our bed, not just sleeping. So we have excessive thoughts, excessive feelings. We could be having sex. We could be working in bed. We could be doing lots and lots of things while we're in bed, which is stimulating energy. So that's another reason why we cannot fully rest and relax when we're in our beds. So you can use certain mantras, play it in your bedroom, cleanse out the space. You can clean it energetically. You can use sage. You can use incense. We talked about this in a previous recording, right? So you can keep your place energetically clean. So if you're having a hard time being grounded, when you wake up, you're kind of like this. You're like an inverted pyramid. So the upper chakras are more activated because you're doing what? You're going high in the inner world to be of service. You don't need to be grounded. But then when the alarm goes off at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, you need to get back to it. So you need to do this. You need to adjust them. So something you can do is quarter squats. For those who have taken Kriya Shakti, you're taught that. For those who do the exercises, the pre-meditation exercises before Twin Hearts, you can just do quarter squats. So you just go down about 3 or 4 inches and you do maybe 100 of those. And what that will do is drop your energy and anchor your consciousness into the day, right? Because being spacey is lack of emotional mastery. You should be able to do this with your consciousness. Higher, lower, higher, lower, higher, lower, higher, lower. And the more advanced practitioners are in the lower and the higher simultaneously. So that's something I would recommend to come back to reality quicker, stimulating the physical body. Also, when you take a cold shower, this is important. Cold shower contracts, cold water contracts, hot water radiates. So if you take a cold shower in the morning, okay, so that's why when we do salt bowls in pranic healing, it is recommended not to use hot water. It's recommended to use cold water because cold water pulls from the environment. Hot water radiates out into the environment. So if you take a hot shower in the morning, it partially cleanses the astral body and you feel good, you feel relaxed, but it's not going to necessarily ground you or help you wake up. But if you take a cold shower, it pulls out, because it pulls, right? It pulls out some of the heavy disease congested energies within your auric field. You can also use a salt scrub in the morning as well. Scrub your solar plexus front and back. Scrub your spleen front and back. Scrub your perineum, which is where your rooting cord is, and then scrub your basic chakra. So you scrub your lower chakras. You can go all the way from the knees down. And that will help ground you, make you practical yet again. Good question. Next question. What do you recommend for empaths who take in too much of the world and people around them? How can they stay centered and objective, less entangled? We've covered this intermittently throughout the the weeks and months that we've been doing this program and other programs. So an empath is somebody who is sensitive to energies, right? That's an empath. And there are higher degrees of empaths. There are people who are sensitive to smells. They can smell the inner world, right? Have you ever noticed that when somebody is sick, they have a certain smell to them, right? If somebody is sick, they have a certain smell to them. An empath that has developed that ability is it's mostly connected to the Ajna chakra. They can smell sick energy, right? So you have physical sickness that you can smell, right? Certain kinds of mucus, viruses, bacteria in the air, right? But you can also smell energetic sickness. So you could smell, and I'm getting a little graphic here, but I'm trying to make the point for the person asking the question. You can smell different organs. You can smell if they're clean or not. Now, does everyone have this ability? No. Can everyone develop this ability? To varying degrees, yes. So you could smell cancer on somebody. You can smell depletion. You can smell congestion. Again, you're not going for the purpose of developing this ability per se, but through your practice, these certain abilities will develop within you. So an empath is someone who can sense energy through the smell, through sound. They can hear the inner world, the angels, the deities, the devas, the higher soul of themselves, and even other people. You have people that are clairvoyant who can see the inner world, right? Forehead chakra, right over here. People that can see the inner world to varying degrees of accuracy. And so an empath is someone who is sensitive. The problem with most empaths is A, they use it as an excuse to be overly reactive to everything. I'm just so sensitive. Well, that's not emotional mastery. Because most people are sensitive with their solar plexus chakra. Most empathic people are sensitive with the solar plexus. They're not sensitive with their heart. Because what does the heart do? The heart, you feel things, but you also transmute lower, denser energies. Versus your solar plexus is super activated. The other person's solar plexus is super activated. So now it's amplified in your system. You feel their stress compounded many, many times. And that's why most empaths stay at home or don't like large groups of people, because they have a hard time controlling their solar plexus chakra. So they're feeling what is known as the lower astral plane, and it's uncomfortable. But if the heart is super activated, you can be sensitive and not so affected, and you'll transmute the energies. Ideally, you want to be here when you're interacting in ordinary everyday life. You want to be in your Ajna chakra, higher will, unaffected. Good for them. Unaffected, right? So one of the masters of pranic healing says you only want to be sensitive when you're meditating or when you're doing healing. When you're meditating or doing healing. Why? Because when you're meditating and you're sensitive, you can be what? Aware of the higher energies, aware of higher messages, aware of higher guidance, right? But if you're unaware, if you lack sensitivity, they're going to be pounding at the door and you're not going to hear it, which is most of the world, right? And then why during healing? Because as you're healing somebody, let's say you're following a protocol of pranic healing for a migraine headache, and you're going step 1, step 2, step 3, and then because you're still, because you're aware, because you have a degree of sensitivity, something says, go back to the liver, go back to the solar plexus, use a little bit more energy here, there. You will be getting guidance. Either you'll feel it in your body, clairsentience, you'll hear it, clairaudience, or you'll see it, clairvoyance, right? So being an empath is very, very good, but you need to be able to control turning it on or turning it off. So it's typically overactivated solar plexus and overactivated forehead. So in pranic healing, you can just say blue, blue. So you take your hand, pass it over your solar plexus, blue. Take your hand, pass it over your forehead, blue. What that does is it mutes everything, makes it quieter. Because that's what an empath is. Everything is amplified. It's super, super loud. That's why good empaths are very good healers, because they can go very deep into somebody and extract a lot of information for healing purposes. Okay. So that's something it's bluing the solar plexus, bluing the forehead are two ways of making an empath less sensitive. Also, this is a very important distinction that is not applicable just to empaths, is applicable to everyone, is you're suffering in your environment because you're merging your consciousness with those energies. So if you go into a stressful environment, there's stress energies, there's fear energies, there's anxious energies, right? But is it also fair to say that there are beautiful energies, happy energies, joyful energies? So it's where your consciousness is tuning into what frequency in that environment with those people are you tapping into? That's again going back to self-mastery. Because an empath that's not trained just goes into a stressful environment and then goes, oh, I can't handle it anymore. It's too much stress, right? Versus they go, aha, there's stress energy here. I'm going to go higher. Where's the bliss? Where's the peace? Where's the joy? Where's the stillness? Because no matter how chaotic and how loud the environment is, there's always a point of stillness. Okay, great question. Next question. I know that numbers are significant in many different religions and beliefs. What are their significance in pranic healing? How do you know how do you know how many times you are to repeat something and why? 3s, 4s, 12s, 7s, 14s, 21s. What is the difference in the usage of these numbers repetitions? Example, repeat the prosperity meditation 4 times, repeat the Gayatri mantra or the Great Invocation 3 times. Do some exercises 12 times while do other exercises 14 times. Excellent question. This is an inner teaching, so I can only cover so much. And my understanding is limited on the higher levels of the numbers. So this is connected to numerology. And basically, numbers, the great teachers perceive the cosmos mathematically. The great teachers perceive the cosmos mathematically. Okay, so everything has a mathematical formula behind it. Okay, so numbers are like a passcode. So when you do something a certain number of times, it unlocks certain energies in the inner world for certain purposes. So for instance, why do we do the Great Invocation 3 times? Well, what qualities are being awakened? Light, love, and power, the Trinity. Why do we do prosperity things 4 times? Materialization. Materialization. Why do we do something 7, 14, or 21 times? Because it's connected to Kundalini energy. I can't really go much more beyond that, but basically it is very, very, very important to do something the set number of times, because it's like if you needed 5 numbers to unlock a lock, right? And you only use 4, it doesn't unlock it. So when you, how much can I share here? Okay, so I was doing a practice that required numbers, okay? And I asked my mentor to look, right, to clairvoyantly observe what's happening. And once I did the set number, everything shifted into place. And the very specific energies I was looking to generate within that practice became available at the last number or the last repetition of the required number. So it's a passcode. So stick to the passcode. And I'll give you guys an extra bonus tip. For those of you who do strength training of any kind, do 7 repetitions or 14 repetitions, but ideally 7. That's a tip. Okay. Namaste, Leaf. Okay, so this is a good question. Really, these are all like excellent questions. You mentioned brilliant white light, brilliant EV or electric violet light, and luminous white light. Can you share more about them, the source of them, the differences, and what they are used for? Yes and no. So whenever a person becomes aware of their crown chakra, the spiritual cord becomes bigger. And that means more divine energy is coming down. Well, Christian, divine energy, what do you mean? Exactly. It's as vast can be. You have energy that comes from God, which the direct energy coming from God, we could not and cannot access it while in bodies. Not possible. So the great teachers transform or step down energy. They transform or step down energy. So you have different degrees of energy, different degrees of prana that have different qualities. So electric violet light is the light that we use, right, for healing people with emotional and mental disorders. Why? Because electric violet light has consciousness because it is energy from the soul. So the more advanced the soul is of the person projecting electric violet light, the more consciousness it has within it. But here's the problem. Most people cannot utilize electric violet light. So you as the healer, you as the person projecting electric violet light, in most cases, it goes right through the person because their energy body is so dense, the molecules are so dense, and the electric violet light is so refined, the particles are super refined, it passes right through it. So the person doesn't get physical or etheric benefit when using electric violet light. But the emotional body and mental body of most people is more subtle and refined than the physical and etheric bodies. So that's why we use electric violet light. Now, if the person is a heavy smoker, we don't use electric violet light in general, right? If the person is a heavy meat eater, we don't use electric violet light in general. So we use white prana, white energy. Where does the white energy come from? Luminous white light energy is coming from the crown. Normal, ordinary white light is coming from the Egyptian pose. This is taught in basic pranic healing, and you're reminded of higher practices. You're taught and reminded of higher practices in pranic healing classes. But in general, that's the pose, the Egyptian pose. So the left hand is the receiving hand of the white prana. It's not luminous white, it's just white prana. And then you project with white prana. So that is more absorbable and easier to assimilate for most people. There's always the people get really excited when they are like learning about electric violet light. They're like, so you're telling me I can like bring down soul energy and like use it to heal people, right? Not necessarily. If the person's energy body is too dense, it's going to pass right through them. And also the cool thing about electric violet light is when you're projecting it, what is it? It's soul energy. So the person projecting can be completely blissed out when they're projecting electric violet light. So you have normal, ordinary white light coming down from the left into the left hand, out the right hand. The spleen absorbs white energy from its environment called air prana. But the crown is what brings down luminous white light. The crown is what brings down brilliant electric violet light when you're aware of the crown or above. And then there are other pranas that are more potent and more powerful. There are other pranas that are more potent and more powerful. I did an experiment with my mentor about 4 years ago of a prana that I had learned about 7 years earlier, but I had no one to experiment with. I was like, well, she can see energy. This is going to be amazing. Let's do it. And so I invoked, and then I just had her look. So I was projecting this energy out of my hand, not at anyone or at anything, but just projecting it. And she goes, I can't see it. I go, what do you mean you can't see it? She goes, they're shielding me, meaning the teachers. I go, why would they be shielding you? She goes, it's probably something you shouldn't be using, like a color or an energy you shouldn't be using. And I knew it was an energy that I shouldn't be using, but I needed someone to experiment. So she validated it for me. And she was being shielded because the energy was too potent and it would have probably adversely affected her ability to see clearly. Okay. So be careful what you experiment with. The great teachers don't like curiosity for curiosity's sake, but I got some of my answer. So it's basically the reason you use different pranas is for the absorbability of the person's energy body. So you need to know a little bit about their backstory. So a higher vibrational energy body can not only access higher energies, but can also receive higher energies for healing. So people that are very subtle, very refined, and vibrate very, very high, they can heal in general very quickly because their energy body can merge fast with the healing energies, right? So that's really all I can cover about that so far. Next question. How often should you clean crystals that you wear and have sitting around your house? Crystals that you wear, it depends. So you can wear crystals around your heart. It's usually in between the heart chakra and the secondary throat chakra, in between those two, right? So I would recommend cleaning it at least every other day, but it also depends on your level of cleanliness, the stresses in your environment, and your level of mental and emotional mastery. Meaning, if your energy body is already very heavy and you can't control your thoughts and you can't control your feelings very well, and you work in a super stressful place, I would recommend cleaning. In fact, I would not recommend wearing anything at all because it's going to get contaminated too quickly. And then if you're sensitive, quote unquote, empathic, you're going to feel the congestion radiating throughout the chakra. The heart chakra is extremely sensitive. So if you're wearing rose quartz, clear quartz, amethyst, and it's resting near your heart and it's congested, it will congest your heart. It will feel miserable, actually. Okay, so if you lack mental and emotional mastery and you are in a very stressful environment, I don't recommend wearing anything. If you have a degree of emotional mastery and the environment is ordinary, then I would get it cleaned in salt water. It depends on what kind of you don't clean emeralds in salt water, and you don't want to do rose quartz too often. It's not a problem, but you don't want to do it too often because it will break up the oils within the stone and then it will break apart, right? So you just want to be careful. Garnet is fine, amethyst is fine, citrine is fine, okay? So those are fine. But in general, every other day. And then if you have them sitting around your house, same thing. If they're sitting in the sun all the time, that's fine because the sun is constantly cleaning them every day, right? But if they're not in the sun, they're not in a salt bowl, they're programmed, and you have a very, very stressful home environment, they're going to get congested super fast, right? So it also depends on the size. The bigger the crystal, the larger the aura. So the more energy it can either consume that's congested in the environment, or if it's a radiatory protocol and it's radiating energy, the bigger it is, the bigger the aura, right? So it really depends on your purpose. So I would need to know more information. But in general, anything you wear on your body, clean it every other day at a minimum. And then if it's in your environment, you put it in salt water, you put it either outside the house or in the bathroom, and then you change the salt water once depends, but every few days, and then you clean and reprogram the crystal every month. But some masters program crystals for 5 years. So again, I'm giving you the general, and then there's specifics once we know more of what you're trying to accomplish. Next question. How can you tell if someone is truly clairvoyant or an empath or just a scam artist? Excellent question. One of my favorite questions of all time. Because obviously doing this work for 21 years, I've had a lot of people who are delusional, scammy, and myself included in the early days of practicing pranic healing. I was not scammy, but there was a level of delusion, there was a level of inaccuracy, there was a level of negative pride, right? And I've worked over the years to remove those energies from my system. I'm still in the process of growing and evolving. So how can you tell if somebody is clairvoyant? So in Grandmaster Cho Kuk-Sui's book, The Origins of Modern Pranic Healing and Hatha Yoga, again, the name of the book is The Origins of Modern Pranic Healing or Hatha Yoga. There's a chapter in the Arhatic Yoga chapter that talks about discerning of choosing a spiritual teacher and choosing a clairvoyant. Grandmaster Cho Kuk-Sui says most clairvoyants or mediums are 15% accurate. 15% accurate. Why? Because we perceive through the aura and through the chakras. So if your aura is dirty, if your aura is clouded, if the chakras are dirty and clouded, you look through the chakras. Your perception is through the chakras. So it's like driving in a car and you have a dirty windshield. It's got mud all over it. How far ahead can you see the next stoplight, stop sign, cars crossing, what have you? You can't, right? So if a person has a spiritual practice, if a person does regular character building, if a person does regular purification, their ability to perceive things accurately goes up and up and up and up. But at the same time, you have to practice discernment, which means to judge something correctly. So if a clairvoyant tells you your great-great-grandfather is behind you and they are saying you need to sell all your stuff and move to Lima, Peru by next week, you might want to practice some discernment with that request. Go, you know what, that doesn't sound right. But the person could be accurate. So one of the discernment tools that we use in our arsenal in pranic healing is scanning or feeling subtle energy. It's the easier one to develop than, say, clairvoyance and clairaudience. So clairsentience is feeling, right? So if somebody's telling you something, there's ways of validating that through scanning. You can scan the size of the person's spiritual cord. You can scan how much negative pride the person has. You can scan how much honesty the person has. You can scan if they're scammy. Is this person scamming me? Is this person tricking me? You can scan for pranksters in the person's aura. There's these different ways of determining if what someone is saying is true or not true. And also, you have every right to put the clairvoyant, the clairaudient, or the clairsentient person to the test. Only fair, right? So for instance, my mentor, maybe 4 years ago, I was in my closet. I was going around my closet. I was like, I want to test something. And I've already known her abilities, right? Because she's trained me. So I already know her abilities, but I go, I want to see something else. So I grabbed a random shirt and I said, I'm holding something. What do you see energetically? She goes, not much. Just, I don't know what you're holding, but it's ordinary. It's got some energy in it, but that's it because I'm wearing it, right? And then I grabbed another shirt. And I said, what do you see with this that I'm holding? And she goes, it's very interesting. She goes, it's got a special blessing in it, but there's a lot of sadness in whatever it is that you're holding. Now, tell me if this is not specific enough. I wore that shirt once for a very special occasion where 2 master pranic healers came into town to give a talk to my group, and he blessed that shirt. So that's the energy that she saw with the blessing. The second aspect was sadness. Why would there be sadness? Because the love of my life at the time refused to attend the event because her and I had broken up. She didn't want to connect with me anymore, but she still had the feelings, right? So I asked her to come to the event. She turned me down, and it hurt, right? I'm still a human being. I still have an emotional body. So this person, my mentor, was able to see two conflicting energies very clearly like that, without any backstory, without, I didn't even say what I was holding. I wasn't like, I'm holding a shirt and I wore this shirt at a special event several years back, yada, 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 which is interesting because the blessing stayed, right? The blessing stayed, which leads us into another point. Your clothes hold energy. So this coming April 26th on Monday, 2021, is the Westside Festival. You're supposed to wear the same clothes year after year after year after year after year after year for the Westside. Why? Because the fabric in the clothes starts to hold on to those blessings. So funny enough, while I was going through my closet, this was all in the same conversation. I grabbed my Westside clothes and I said, all right, what do you see? And she goes, I don't know what it is. It's most likely a Westside clothes. And I go, well, how do you know? And she goes, because it's radiating so much light, it's going beyond your entire apartment. So those clothes are clothes I've worn for Westside for several years in a row. So they get brighter and brighter and brighter and more impregnated with divine energies. And then I protect it throughout the year by wrapping it in silk. So you have to validate what people share with you. If they go, I see this, I do this, I know this, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Validate it. Validate it. But do it respectfully. And there are some cases and examples where it can't be validated the way that you would want it to be validated. I know that sounds like a bit of a cop-out, but there are other laws at play. For instance, if someone is super prideful about getting their answer, either the clairvoyant or the healer will not give the answer, or the great teachers will not give the clairvoyant the answer, because all answers are coming from the great teachers. So if you do it kindly, if you do it respectfully, and it's for a purpose, right? The purpose of discernment, of seeing something clearly, then you should be fine. And if the person can't demonstrate it, then you might want to go with a different clairvoyant or clairsentient or clairaudient person. And by the way, just because someone is clairvoyant, it doesn't mean they're spiritually advanced. It just means they develop certain abilities on the path. There are people who are not clairvoyant, not clairsentient, and not clairaudient who are extraordinarily advanced, right? So don't say that, oh, just because someone's clairvoyant, it automatically means they know more than me, they're more developed than me, they have better character building than me. That's not necessarily the case. In some cases, it can be true. Okay, next question. What is the effect of general sweeping with whitish blue prana and when is it used? I didn't even see this question sneak in. What is the effect of general sweeping with whitish blue prana and when is it used? In general, never. In general. So when you sweep, for those people who haven't taken pranic healing yet, highly encourage it. But when you do sweeping of somebody's aura with blue energy, you pull a tremendous amount of prana out of their system. So they can literally collapse because of it. If you're a good healer with clear intention, you can make somebody pass out. So I don't recommend doing it. If a person has an extremely, extremely high temperature, you can do blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green. You're breaking it up, pulling out the hot congested energy. You're breaking it up, pulling out the hot congested energy. Breaking it up, pulling out so it's more moderate. But if you just do blue energy, general sweeping somebody, they can pass out. So I don't recommend that. Okay. Good question. I didn't even see that one. I don't know how I didn't see that one. Next one. We know that eating too much salt can have harmful effects on the physical body. which by the way is now scientifically come to clarity that it doesn't actually have that adverse effect eaten with our food. I'm not talking about drinking cups of salt water or ocean water and it not having a negative effect. I'm saying in general, there's been many misunderstandings of what salt actually does to the body. Too much sodium. It's not accurate. The past few years they've been finding this out. So, but I understand the question. So we know that eating too much salt can have harmful effects on the physical body. Can too much salt, i.e., too many salt baths or other usage, have a negative or harmful effect on the energy body? No. No. Water and salt combined is green prana. Green prana is cleansing and purifying. Green prana is the Clorox bleach of the energy world. So no adverse side effects. Look at it this way. Can you swim in the ocean too much? Right? Yeah, you're going to get pruny, obviously. But if you swim in the ocean for 2 hours, is that a bad thing? No, it's actually a great thing. Your energy body is super clean. So how could you overdo it with a salt bath? 15 minutes every day. It's impossible. Okay, good question. Next question. For treating migraines, there are 2 different protocols: advanced pranic healing and pranic psychotherapy. Which one do you use and why? It depends. Good question. So what did we talk about before? So advanced pranic healing uses colors: red, orange, yellow, blue, green, gold, violet, electric violet, right? Advanced pranic healing. You use very little electric violet in advanced pranic healing protocols. It depends. And then pranic psychotherapy uses electric violet solely for what? Emotional and mental healing. So if the person is suffering a migraine headache from something that they ate or something that they physically did, you would use advanced pranic healing protocol. Right? They ate some bad seafood or something like that, and they have a severe migraine headache. Now, if the headache is due to emotional and mental factors, stress, trauma, negative memories, an argument with their spouse, an argument with their boss, you would use pranic psychotherapy protocol. Okay. Also, if the person's energy body is very dense, like we talked about before, they're a meat eater, they smoke a lot, they don't have a lot of character building, but they still want healing, then you would use advanced pranic healing protocol. Orange energy, green energy, what have you. So you have to know the person, you have to get a little bit more background. But if the cause is psychological as to why they have the headache, you do a pranic healing protocol. So I knew somebody who had a severe chronic migraine, so bad that she had to drop out of her PhD program and she had to lay on the couch for 2 years. And she found me after the fact. And we did healing. We did healing. Which healing did I choose? Well, I said, physically, she's in a lot of pain right now. Physical, everything's physical for her. So we did the physical protocol. But surprise, surprise, as I was doing the protocol, because I was still, because I was aware, because I was listening, something said trauma. And I'm like, trauma? Okay. So after the healing was finished, I went to her boyfriend and I said, how long has she had this? And he says, about 2 years. I said, did something traumatic happen to her 6 months prior? And he goes, I don't think she's going to be comfortable with me talking about that, and immediately changed everything. So the intuition was kicking in and saying, aha, trauma. So in that case, what will we do? Migraine headache, migraine protocol, psychotherapy. And she improved. She didn't come back for healings regularly enough because of the severity, the length of time that she had it, the different factors that determined how much healing she needed. but she did improve dramatically, but not enough to completely get off the couch. But that's what happens. People come in for healing and they don't follow up. It's like somebody going to the doctor, right? And they get their prescription, but then they don't follow up. It's the person that injures themselves and they need physical therapy for 6 months and they only come to physical therapy for 2 weeks. It's not enough, right? So we are beings of free will. We can choose to get healing or choose not to get healing, right? This person just choose to get a little bit of healing. Okay. Next question. Do the Tibetan rites have to be done in a specific order to get the desired benefits, or is it just as long as you do all 5 of them? Specific order. So you have 5 exercises for the 5 Tibetan rites. If you meditate right before doing Tibetans, you don't have to do the first Tibetan, which is pulling down the energy, because the crown's already activated in meditation and you're already bringing down energy. The other ones are for specific purposes of packing, distributing, and storing. So you're doing different, the other Tibetans are doing other things. If you take it out of order, you're not going to have the same effect. Excellent question. So follow simple instructions, as Master Cho would say, and do them in order. Very good question. And the next question, last question, at least last question of these 10. Is there an official psychotherapy protocol for treating poverty consciousness and increasing prosperity besides tithing, and where can we find or buy it? So this is a multi-layered question. So if you are having financial difficulties, there was a class that Grandmaster Choa Kuk Sui developed many, many years ago called Kriya Shakti. Kriya means movement, Shakti means energy. It also means power through purification. So the reason we have a hard time materializing our needs, wants, and desires, and we covered this last time about the law of attraction, is because we lack purification. We lack purification, meaning we have lots of calcified thought forms, negative programmings, blind spots in our mental body, our emotional body, and our etheric body. So the energy, the prosperity energies that are coming from God, passing through the great ones, passing through our teacher, our higher soul, and into us, gets diluted and distorted as it passes through our system. That's why if you want to be a good materializer of your needs, wants, and desires, right, your energy body has to be purified to a degree that it vibrates at the level of abundance. So prosperity consciousness vibrates at a different level than poverty consciousness. So the class, Kriya Shakti, it's a weekend class that teaches you 5 principles on how to materialize. So if you follow these principles day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out, over the period of your life, you become better and better and better at materializing. The only principle that we can publicly share from those 5 principles is the principle of abundance. The principle of abundance simply means in order to withdraw, you need to deposit. In order to, if you go to the bank or go to an ATM and you want to take out $100, but you never put $100 into the bank, you can't take that money out. So that's how it works. It's called the principle of abundance. So if you want money, give money. How much do you give? 10% of your net income every single month to a charitable organization of your choice for your life. Not for 6 months, not for 12 months, for the rest of your incarnation. You can choose to follow that instruction or not, entirely up to you. I know it works, and many other disciples know it works, not just within pranic healing or hatha yoga, but in other spiritual schools and other religious practices. It's called tithing, right? So you give 10% of your net income to a spiritual organization of your choice every single month, rain, sleet, or shine. Number 2 is service. So if you want money, you give money. If you want energy, you give energy. So if you're depressed, best solution is to serve. 3 hours per week minimum. And then thirdly is learning your lesson. You're poor, quote unquote, because you did something that you shouldn't have done. So what's the lesson? Oh, the lesson is to not steal from people. Got it. Okay, the lesson is to stop being so lazy. Got it. Okay, the lesson is to budget my money better. Got it. What's the lesson? What's the lesson? Because if you don't learn the lesson, you'll keep making the same mistake. So tithe, do service, and learn the lesson as to why you're stuck, and then move forward. So that would be a recommendation, is taking Kriya Shakti, learning the 5 principles in great, great detail. Number 2, get healing. I developed my own prosperity protocol many, many years ago that has been very effective with the clients that I've done it with. So you can hire me for healing and help out with the prosperity protocol. It's I don't have it for sale. It's just something that I've done and through my own understanding and scanning ability, clairvoyant understanding, what have you. And then Master Co has a program called Prosperity Zen, which is a 9-week program that you do every single day for 9 weeks. So that's 63 times. I wonder if that's a special number too. 63 times, right? For the purpose of removing old poverty consciousness, thought forms, entities, elementals, and then vibing your whole energy body with prosperity consciousness. So that's like a $600 program. And he offers another bonus for an additional $170. So that's a program that it's a home study program that you just plug and play. It'll take you about an hour to an hour and a half every day to practice, to do it properly, right? To do it properly. So you have Kriya Shakti, which is by Master Chela, a weekend class. You have the home study course, which is a 9-week program, or you have hiring me to do healing with my own special juju and mojo. But it also is connected to your karma. Again, if you don't plant anything, you can't expect a harvest. One of the biggest things I've noticed, because I've been doing this for so long, not as long as the masters, but I've been doing it for a while, is people that have money problems are this with money. In general, they're super tight with money. They have scarcity fear around money, and you mention tithing, and they immediately retract because they think something is being taken from them, and they think they're giving up, but they don't understand that tithing is an investment. It is not an expense. If you don't tithe, you don't understand prosperity. Guarantee it. Think about it. A person who lives a life of abundance gives. They don't have scarcity and lack. But the person who lives a life of holding on to, they live a life of scarcity and lack. You can have millions of dollars and have poverty consciousness because you think every moment of your life it could be gone. That's poverty consciousness. Master Chola says poverty is a disease. It literally is. It's in the basic chakra. If you look at a person who's poor, there's a sickness in their basic chakra that needs to be healed. How do you heal it? Service, tithing, learning the lesson, and getting psychotherapy. That's how you heal it. Yay, we finished the 10. Whoop, whoop. So proud. So I am going to, Beth says, can the opposite be true? You can give too much, therefore you are poor. Okay, good question. Lack of budgeting means the basic chakra is not as strong as it should be. So budgeting, right? If you're like this with money, you live in scarcity and fear. If you're like this with money, right? Both the heart chakra is negatively affected and the basic chakra is negatively affected. But this is very important. Master brought this up one time. He says, have you noticed people that are very generous sometimes get taken advantage of, and people make fun of them of so and so is giving away all their money, but have you also noticed those people always seem to have money because they're always giving money to people? So I have not met someone who has been generous, and this is the science of tithing, which I can't cover in this video. The science of tithing will clarify why some people give and stay broke or are broke, and some people give and become prosperous. That's the science of tithing. Because you're like, well, I give to my friends and family members all the time, and I'm not a millionaire. There's reasons. There's reasons. That's covered in the class. I'm not authorized to teach that. But in general, it is better to be, it's not better. It's hard to, let me put it this way. You have to exhale first before you inhale. You have to give first before you receive. It's not about which is better, giving or receiving. They're both important. If you break one of them, you have chaos, as Master would say. You have to have both, giving and receiving. It's like, which is more important, inhaling or exhaling? They're both important, right? But you only inhale after exhaling. So you have to plant the seed in the ground before you expect a harvest. You can't go, all right, I'm ready to receive. Come on, ground. I'm ready to receive. Give it to me, ground. Oh, I didn't plant anything. That's why. That's the problem. So people have the seeds within them that they never let go of. You have to let go of the seed. And then you go, all right, I'm ready to receive. I'm ready. Let's do this. Let's grow this pineapple tree. Right? So I hope that makes sense. And I hope that answers your question. Good add-on, good bonus. Okay. So let's close, and then I'm getting off the stream, putting on a new thing, and then we're doing it all over again. You can join or not join. I won't be offended, because I'm doing this for you guys, because I won't be doing it, for a week or a week and a half at the beginning of May. Okay. So shall we close for this round? Be aware of the heart. Be aware of the crown. Be aware of the heart and the crown together. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, respected and beloved teacher, Grandmaster Choa Kuk Lord Mahaguru Jameling, to Lord Buddha Kuan Yin, to Lord Ganesh, the Holy Master Count Saint Germain, to Saraswati, to all the Holy Gurus, Holy Masters, Saints, Archangels, Holy Angels, Healing Ministers, to our divine selves or higher souls. We thank you all for your great, great blessings, for your divine light, love, and power, for your help, guidance, and protection, for greater awareness and understanding of who and what we are. Thank you for helping us transform our lives and move our lives forward. We thank you, thank you, thank you. With gratitude, respect, and love, so be it, and so it is. Thank you. Perfect. All right. Signing out. Bye-bye.